Hi, I'm Don Jessup, and today is a big day. We're going to put a saddle on my beautiful Mustang Freedom today. He has worn the bareback pad, and he also has accepted me on his back in a bareback fashion because I wanted him to accept me as a person before we get into accepting all the mechanics of a saddle. Three things you got to know before you ride any horse. Number one, they accept you as a human. They actually are not afraid of you touching them, being around them, even leaning over the top of them like we did in the previous videos. Number two, he's got to accept the saddle. He's got to know that this saddle is actually okay to wear, to hold, to carry, walking, trotting, cantering. And then lastly, he's got to accept steering. He has to be able to handle me guiding him. And that's where we do two-line driving courses for that as well. And I will do all of those things before I ride him. But in this video specifically, I'm going to have him carry a brand new, well, that's not a very brand new saddle. It's an old saddle. And I like an old saddle because if it falls off, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. So before I throw that saddle on there, I'm going to do a little test with a rope. See, obviously, he's letting me throw a rope over his back. Great. If he lets me throw a rope over his back, we're on a good starting path here. And what I want him to do is carry that rope. Yeah, good job. And he says, I don't know about that rope. It looks kind of funny on my side there. So if he's a little bit funny about a rope, he's going to be really funny about a saddle. So we're just going to give him a little bit of time to feel that rope out there. What if that rope grabbed him? Then what? Then what do you do? What if that saddle grabbed him? Then what do you do? Can you handle it? I'm kind of holding onto that rope, and if he settles down, I give him a big loop. And if he gets tight and worried again, I kind of pull on it a little bit, just to basically say, look, you don't have to worry about this rope, which is important because he's going to get real worried about that saddle. I'm kind of just holding that rope tight, let it go, hold it tight, let it go, hold it tight and let it go. Come back a little further where that back cinch might end up on the horse. Hold that tight and let it go. Now there is a special timing for this. I'm not showing you that right this second. What I want more interested is showing you principles, and then we'll get into the timing. Principally, it's just a desensitization technique. That's all I'm doing, is making sure that when I put those cinches on, he's not so reactive to the cinches. And if he can carry those cinches in a walk and a trot, and then maybe one day in a canter, then that's going to make sure that he's not going to throw me away just because he gets grabbed by a cinch. And so when he settles down, when he feels that tightness, I release that rope and I say, thank you. Good job. Now, I'm going to toss it around the other side. This is not a perfect session to where he's acing the tests. This is more of a practice session to show you what I'm going to do for the next few days to make sure that he is a truly rideable horse. All right, line this up here. You do not have to do this rope test part, but as a professional who's been doing it for many, many, many years, I like to do the rope test part because I want to know that I'm not going to have any bucky bronky horse up there. I don't want to ride a bronc. I'm going to pull on that cinch. We're going to see how he handles that tightness. And when he settles down, I'm going to let go of that rope, and that gives him a release. That's going to be really, really good practice for him carrying that saddle. I'll send him out on the circle. Send him out on the circle. I'm going to pull on that cinch. He's going to settle down. I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to say thank you. You did good there, bud. Okay? If he passes that test, I'm not getting an A+ score on that passing, but I'm getting a passing score like a C or a B minus, then I think I'm ready to just take it to the next level. I'm going to move quite quickly because I just want to show you concept, and then what I'm going to do is practice over and over and over and over his ability to handle cinches, to handle saddles, to handle me, to handle steering with maybe too long lines, and so on, until finally we've got a really truly rideable horse. There's other exercises you can do too, like carrying the tarp, that kind of thing. They're all good. I'm going to give myself a little bit longer rope in case things get a little wild. He's a wild Mustang after all. And we're going to start with his pad. I want him, number one, to stand his ground for this pad. So every time he moves, I'm going to move him back to where he is. So get a picture in your mind of where he is right now in space and time. I could draw a line around his feet. And I've done videos where I put the cones out to show you exactly how this works. Teaching a horse to stand still for washing, that kind of thing. So this is the same deal. He's got to accept this pad. And if he moves, I'm not going to chase him around. I'm going to put him back and teach him to accept the pad. I'm going to rub this pad all over his body. Just like this, yeah. And then if I want him to move, that's okay. So I can kind of walk along and say, here, let's carry that pad for a little bit. What do you think of that? You think that's okay? Yeah, that's not so bad. And you can stop. I can say, good job. You did good. You carried that pad. You're okay with me throwing it up there? Great. Come on back to my spot and we're going to throw that saddle on there. Yeah. There we go. Roughly. Pretty close. This one's the big deal. Right here. Get my saddle all organized here. Get the rest of my rope organized here. Now this one's tough. Because this one has stirrups that fling around and bounce around. But notice, he's going to check it out for a second, and that's good. And I'm sorry the fence is in the way here, but you can see him checking it out. What I'm going to do is reposition his feet back to this place where we started so that he gets an idea that this is where we're supposed to stand. Oh, look at that. He moved. What do? I don't put the saddle on a moving horse. There's no value in that. I'd rather put him back, teach him to stand still. Wouldn't you like a horse that stood still while you went to get on or put the saddle on? Well, that can be taught in the early days. You can check it out. You can check it out like this. Touches him. He goes to move too much like this. I bring him back. Bring him back. Zoom, right back in there. Good job. Freedom. So he learns that just because something's happening doesn't mean he should get hot and bothered by it. Actually, the opposite should happen. He should stand his ground. Right there. And feel calm about it. Just like that. Now, you want to start with a lighter saddle? Great. Start with a lighter saddle. Start with something you don't really care about too much because if it falls off, it's not going to hurt your feelings. In fact, I'm not even going to cinch that up. I'm just going to have him carry it just like that, just like he did the pad. And if it falls off, well, then it falls off and we start over, just like I did when I asked him to carry the tarp. But if he can't carry an uncinched saddle, then he's definitely not going to be able to carry me, who is uncinched. So I'm going to teach him to just walk around like that. And I'll work with something lighter usually in the beginning to make him okay with that. And we'll start to work on cinching up here. See how I'm moving kind of with purpose and abrupt and not too quiet and subtle, because I see sometimes people will sneak around their horse, and that's not good. Not good in the end anyway. Okay. Here's the moment of truth. I'm going to actually turn him. In fact, I'm going to walk him, and if that falls off again, that's fine. You can just carry that just like that. Good job. Hey, nicely done. So he's actually pretty good at it because he's carried the tarp, but I suspect once he gets those cinches up there, things are going to look a little different. So I wanted to swing him around like this to show you something. I'm about to cinch him up. I get my cinches ready here. I got kind of upside down here. Uh-oh. You're walking around in a circle. I'm not going to keep cinching up. Not until I got him back here where I wanted to start. There we go. That's that. Okay, got my cinches ready. I'm going to get that other cinch underneath him, and if he starts to walk around, I'm actually going to let it go and undo it all really, really quickly, because I do not want to be chasing him trying to get this cinch up. But there is a moment. There's a tiny moment in time. See, right now I can just throw that off and get rid of that, and the saddle could fall and it's not going to roll under his belly. But in a moment, there is a moment, the big moment that nobody looks forward to. Yeah. It's a challenging moment in time where you actually have to commit and you have to finish cinching, because the last thing you want is that saddle to roll under his belly. So what I'm doing here is I'm just bringing the cinch under, just like I did with the rope, and I'm holding it without tying it. See, if he got bothered by that, that would tell me we're not ready yet. Kind of moving around a little bit. What I'm going to do is just push him backwards, reset him a little bit there. There we go, and pet him. What a good boy. Don't come over towards me too far. Oops, backwards. If it worked out perfectly, then we would not have a video to show you. If it falls off, then it falls off. Back up a little bit. Don't rush through that space. Turn around. Don't rush through that space. See my arm block? Just to say don't come through that space. There you go. See, just carry it. Get used to carrying it. It's not the end of the world. Reach under here. You want to start with an English saddle? It's a lot lighter. That's great. Now we're getting to that moment of truth. I'm actually tight enough now. I'm going to have to go all the way. Because if he has a fit now, I got to be sure that this thing ain't going anywhere. He's getting a little excited about it. Now, he just held still for me. What should I do here? Should I keep going? Or should I take it all off? In my opinion, I say take it all off, because why push something that's on the edge anyway? You're just going to push it over the edge, and he has a fit. Why not start over? Right? So he just carried the saddle with the cinch on for the first time, and he got a release because he settled into it. He can't have to canter around, didn't have to buck, didn't have to lose his mind and throw himself at the mercy of nature there. Now we're all cinched up again. If it does go bad, we're on there. We're settled. It's in for the long ride now. It's tight. It's ready to go. It's tight enough that it's going to stay on there, but it's also not so tight that it's going to cut him in half. So just let him hold that for a little bit. Come back in. Now if he goes, I'm ready to block him and grab my long rope and help him through the ride. If you want to take some earlier steps, well, what you're going to do is you're going to take longer and make sure that he can carry the tarp without any reaction. You're going to make sure that he can carry you without any hesitation and reaction. I'm not going to ride him today. There's no way. I want to show you not what I can do. I can get on a bronc, but I don't want to. I want to show you what you can do. See how I do it up and then I undo it. It's a simple concept called approach and retreat. He gets a release and a reward for behaving. I'll do it up, undo it, do it up, undo it. Enough times that I feel like, okay, you know what? I think he's starting to get this. He's not, I don't have to keep pushing him back to this place here just to get this cinch up. He's actually holding for it. And I'm going to reward him for not being a bronc. That's 3 times I've undone that cinch now, or more. Have to go back and count. Now, this is where it all goes south or north, depending on how he reacts. He's had a couple of positive experiences. He's not had to buck through it and have a reaction with those cinches. But I'm going to start asking him to walk out with it. But before I do, I'm going to undo it one more time. You got to see this. I don't want you thinking, oh, if I'm going to be a colt starter or a Mustang trainer, or I'm going to get a Mustang and try to teach him, I don't want you thinking, I got to do what those pros do and I got to buck him out. Instead, do it up, undo it, and then have him carry that saddle with no cinch. Just like you started with. See, that kind of unlocked his feet there. Now, before you ever get to this stage, I hope you've already watched some of my other videos on leadership and boundaries, teaching a horse to respect your boundaries. If you say, don't come on top of me, they respect that. They don't rush into you. That's an important thing to have going in your favor. Now, it's very, very clear that any moment he could have a fit and really throw this saddle around and go for a bucking spree. And that could get pretty Western really, really, really quickly. But it doesn't have to be. If I just go through the steps more often rather than try to do everything all at once like some trainers do. Well, I'm going to undo it. I'm going to walk him around a little bit. Help him know that just because there's something on his back, he doesn't have to get all excited about it. I've seen horses flip over backwards because they're cinch bound. I've seen horses run over the top of the person because they're cinch bound. I've seen horses do everything that you wouldn't want them to do because the exposure happened too fast. Well, this way, he gets lots of repetition and practice. Okay, this is our first time to actually take a step with the cinch. Let's see how he does. I'm preparing myself here for how this could go. Oh, look at that. You did it. You did it. Oh my gosh. I'm so proud of you. I know some of you are looking and going, oh my gosh, are you serious? You're going to undo that again? Just get on with it. Let him buck. Let her buck, they say. Do you want this to be a positive experience for your horse? That's my question to you. People see that saddle come out and they think, okay, here we go. It's going to be another Western show. Get your 3D goggles on. Not me. I'm going to show you how you can do it. I'm going to show you how simple it is to make it a positive experience for your horse. So he doesn't have to just take this saddle and buck it out and get scared about it and actually learn. You know that some horses can learn to be scared of the saddle in that first experience with the saddle. They can learn to be bronc horses just by the way they're treated, because they're given that saddle and they have to buck it out. And some horses, they just give it up. It's not worth the risk to me. Don't want a horse learning the wrong thing. Now, if you got good timing, you obviously don't have to worry about these types of things. So this is more of an education in principle and practice than it is in speed and all those other things that you see the pros do. You know, I want to show you that this is possible. You don't have to be a highly skilled person to educate your horse. All you have to do is be a patient person, and he can carry that saddle around. He can walk around with that thing and be calm about it. That's an important factor. He doesn't have to get spooked or nervous or scared about that saddle. He can just kind of carry it around. And when he does get spooked, I kind of block him and then I say, hey, don't do that. You're just like carrying that rope around. It's just a bigger rope. Just a more uncomfortable rope. That's all that is, Freedom, huh? Now, I should hop on him and canter him around this round pen, right? No, of course not. First, he needs to just carry this thing. He needs to just walk out with that thing and learn that that's just part of the games that we play. Yeah, and if he does bronc, because there's no proof that any horse won't bronc at some point. Something might scare him outside this round pen and it causes him to grab, and that cinch grabs a little tighter than he expects and he starts bucking. If that happens, I might have to go with it. I've got a long rope. I might have to try and shut it down and teach him to stop and reconnect. You don't want to teach him that bucking through a problem is how we get through a problem. I want to teach him that reconnecting to me is how we get through a problem. Now there's other steps before I ride. You see me get on the horse. Just checking on you. You see me get on the horse bareback. You see me, you're going to see me walk, trot, and canter with the saddle on his back, but not in the saddle, so on the ground. You're going to see me do two-line driving, where he goes around a course, and he has to steer and stop and turn. And those are all going to be pieces to the puzzle that make sure that when I get up there in the saddle for the first time, that he's responsive and non-reactive to everything we do. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope it shows you how easy it can be if you're patient and you're not getting bored with the process, and you can be successful. And I hope to see you next time when we actually get him into motion and get him going. Thanks so much. I'm Don Jessup signing off.